All right, Grindhouse, so what I want to do was something different for this last video for the low back series. And then now for this one, we're going to do a sport-specific demands or sport-specific training. So basically what that means is for every sport in the world, whether it's CrossFit, football, anything, golf, you're always going to come into some overuse injuries because you're repetitively doing something for that sport. And so with CrossFit, you're gonna have a lot of overhead movements, you're gonna have a lot of impact from running, jumping, you're gonna have a lot of main lifts, front squats, back squats, lunges, different things like that. And so with those particular movements, the odds are you're gonna be strengthening, some primary muscle groups, but at the same time, you're going to be deficient or lacking in some other muscle groups. And that imbalance of what's getting stronger and what's staying on the back burner is what ends up becoming weak or creating a compensation that later affects your back. And a lot of times your back can, because of the sport, become overactive, which means your low back is doing too much work. And so that's what this video is going to be about. All right, so what we started out with were the Supermans. So whenever you do a standard Superman, that's going to be considered your absolute strength. We're trying to build up the strength for your Supermans. From there, it's very easy to do a speed version or variation of it because it's the exact same exercise. We're just going to go faster for speed. The reason it's different is because of your muscle fibers. For the most part, we all know that there's fast twitch muscle fibers, slow twitch muscle fibers, and then there's also some in between. So whenever you're doing your CrossFit workouts, for the most part, you're doing some powerful movements and you're also moving pretty fast. You're not always going pretty slow and steady. And so if you train your back slow and steady and your workouts or your training program is fast and power, then there's always going to be a discrepancy. There's always going to be a compensation. And then over time, you're going to have that imbalance and again, those issues. So the way to overcome it, the way to prevent it is by doing your speed, power, and functional on the low back directly. And then that way you're training not just the muscle and the strength, but you're also training for the activity, for the sport that you're doing and each muscle fiber. So for power for the low back, we went with the hang snatch with the medicine ball. So what it's all about is power, explosiveness. It is the low back, so after all, we still don't want to put too much of a load on it. It is a smaller muscle group. It's supposed to be more of an assistant of a muscle group, so we don't want it to be on the same power level as, say, your glutes or your chest, your rhomboids or something like that. And so we still want to be careful with the exercise selections that we do for the low back compared to other muscles. But this is a really good one that's functional, that's making the low back work with everything else, and that's going to be more sport specific. For functional, we went with the back extension machine or the GHR, and we're going to do back extensions with the overhead Y. And the idea is to eventually get to be able to do it with a resistance band or a monster band. If you're not able to, that's okay. Start out with just body weight and then work up to dumbbells and then the resistance band. It's just gonna give that extra resistance that we're looking for to strengthen. And so the big thing to be careful with whenever you're doing back extensions on the GHR, the back extension machine, is how low you go down. And so old school, people would come all the way down and up. That actually puts a lot of strain, a lot of torque on the low back. And so if you're doing those and you're having low back issues, stop. Like that's probably one of the contributors right there. It's not that it's a bad exercise, it's just that when our back isn't at 100%, it just puts too much of a strain on it. And so the idea is to do the exact same exercise, but you're gonna go more of a 25 to 45 degree, definitely nothing past 45 degrees from that neutral position. And the idea is to use more of your mid-back muscles, your traps, mid-lower traps, your erector spinae, your TL, your QL, things like that, to have them all working together. And so again, the big thing is don't go all the way down, keep a mid-range. The back is definitely gonna work a lot harder doing it that way because it has constant resistance. And then you just work up the reps. Traditionally, power for powerlifting is gonna be, above 90%, 100%, 1 rep max, 5 rep maxes, things like that. But when it comes to the low back and having explosiveness in form of power, then what we're gonna do is 10 to 20% of your body weight, not your max. So I'm not gonna do 20% of my snatch or 10% of my actual 1 rep snatch or 3 rep snatch. What I'm gonna do is take my body weight, do 10 to 20% of that, and then I'm gonna explode from there with the movement. And so that's gonna be how you pick it. So typically it's a really safe bet just to do a 10 or a 20 pound medicine ball. All right, so we went over all of the exercises. We did Supermans for absolute strength. We did Supermans again for speed. We did the back extension Ys for functional strength. And then we did the hang snatch with the medicine ball for power. And so now basically the question is, how many do I do? Reps and sets. So when it comes to strength training, you're gonna do basically 3 to no more than 5 sets, and then anywhere from 12 to 15 reps. When it comes to speed, same thing, anywhere from 3 to 5 sets, and then anywhere from 10 to 20 reps. For the functional, you are using a lot more, there's a lot more to focus on as far as the muscles working together. So that one is gonna be the same 3 to 5 sets, but it's gonna be more from 6 to 10 or 12 reps. We don't really wanna get above 10 or 12 reps. If anything, the idea is if you're strong enough to go past, or as you get stronger and you get past the 10, 12 reps, the idea is to make it harder for 10 reps as opposed to just doing more and more volume, right? And then for the power, we want more explosiveness. So that one, even though it is pretty light, we're training more of the nerves, more the neuromuscular on that one as opposed to just the muscle. And so a good rule of thumb is going to be, 3 sets of 6 or at the most 6 sets of 6. But the whole idea is just to really explode. And it's more of a movement pattern thing. It's more of a neuromuscular thing to teach the muscle fibers to fire at that rate of force and at that rate of speed. That's the whole point of it. So if you're getting in, you're just throwing it overhead, that is a good workout, but you're not really doing the workout for the purpose that we're looking for low back issues. So I use that a lot with my clients, where we just get a medicine ball and we start throwing it as a Metcon or, get your heart rate up, total body movement. That's great, it is helping, but to really focus on improving your low back for your sport, for sport-specific demands, you wanna do no more than 6 reps and just really focus on your form, your technique, muscle activation, and exploding with the ball. All right, Grindhouse, so thank you for watching my low back series, the total of 5 videos that Grindhouse has been putting out onto your Facebook page. Definitely, any questions you have, feel free to come up to me. I got a lot of information to share, and just come up. It's easy. I'm here Mondays and Wednesdays evenings, as early as 3, 4 o'clock. And so definitely any questions you have, come up to me. You can message me through the Facebook app as well. So as a final recap, this was a low back series for all of you who may be having some tight low backs, pinching, pain, aches, anything like that. This is what it's for. So there's a total of 5 videos. The very first video was an introduction to kind of give an overview of everything. The second video was for low back weakness. So a lot of times things hurt because they're just weak. And so once we get that strength into that muscle, that pain goes away. So there's the video for that. Sometimes it's our posture, our form, that's not allowing the muscle to be in the best optimal position, and that creates pain as well. So if we're having, rounded shoulders or curved spine, or with our form and our technique, it's kind of off balance a little bit, then that's going to create issues in our low back. So again, there's the video for that on postural structures and making sure that everything is nice and lined up. There's going to be more mobility drills and stretching in that one. And then from there, the third video is neuromuscular. So that's really more where we're focusing on that neuromuscular connection, the nerves and the muscles. Because sometimes our muscles can be strong, but we're not using 100% of that muscle, which makes it relatively weak, as opposed to the traditional low back weakness where it's just weak overall. A lot of times we could be doing the right exercises, but it's not translating over to what we want. And so that's what that video is about, the neuromuscular activation. And then the last thing, the one that we're doing right now, or that we just finished, was the sport-specific demands. And so in this case, your sport, you are an athlete, your sport is CrossFit, and a lot of your workouts are going to put pressures on certain body parts, and which also means other areas are gonna have, not get as much attention. And so over time, they become weak or have different compensations. And so again, for your sport, this is the video that you would want to be watching, is the sport specific demands on how do I train my back to be faster, how do I train it to be more powerful, how do I train it to be more functional, and how do I just train it to be stronger. So this isn't an exhaustive list of all the exercises. This is just, of course, a sample, just a little bit, but enough, quite a bit, to give you the information to, get your feet wet with how all your body parts work, your muscles work, and overcome any issues, mobility issues, neuromuscular issues, strength. And then once you get taken care of all of that, right now this is more of low back issues, but the idea is once you take care of the issues, what happens now? Now you just keep getting to the next level. So again, thank you for watching. Any questions that you have, put it in the comments or come up to me directly. And I hope you enjoyed it. I definitely had fun doing these different videos and putting them together for you. If you want me to do a video on something else, whether it's shoulders, elbows, knees, heads and shoulders, just again, request it. Let your coaches know, let Dusty, Alyssa know. If you saw in the video, I had socks on the mat because otherwise Alyssa would put me in a Kimura, and so then I wouldn't be able to do videos anymore. So thank you, and let's keep learning together.